Have you ever poured everything you have, your time, your love, your heart, only to feel that life snatched it all away? Have you ever prayed through tears, wondering if the Most High still listens? Have you ever felt a prayer answered, only to have everything suddenly collapse? If so, this story is for you, a whisper of healing and a lesson in faith that defies the limits of reason. We often believe that faith is only tested in hardship or lack, but the story of the Shunammite woman reveals a more devastating truth. Faith is tested most severely when we lose the very miracle we have just received. That is the ultimate agony of betrayed hope. It is far deeper and harsher than the original desire. We begin the story in a distant land of Israel, where the prophet Elisha carried the word and power of God throughout the land. Elisha owned no palace or material wealth, but wherever he traveled, people knew that the living Spirit was with him. On this solitary journey, he arrived at the town of Shunem, where he met a woman renowned as a great woman. She was not famous for wealth or power, but for her wisdom and an open heart full of grace. Deep within her soul, she harbored a quiet desire to do something greater for the Most High beyond her daily duties. One warm afternoon, seeing the traveler Elisha, his peaceful demeanor and eyes that carried the stillness of heaven, she invited him into her home, treating him to fresh bread, cool water, and rest. From that day on, whenever Elisha passed through Shunem, he found a warm welcome at her house, a place of warmth and peace. But her heart did not stop at simply providing meals. It was constantly directed toward unconditional giving. She said to her husband, "Please let us make a small upper room for him, with a bed, a table, a chair, and a lamp, so that whenever he comes to us, he can have a private place to rest." This act carried no request for miracles or blessings. It was pure service, like naturally flowing water that seeks no return from the ocean. When the small room was finished, it was not lavish, but complete and quiet, a simple space filled with absolute devotion to the man of God. This is the first and core lesson, the power of unconditional giving. The first miracle in our lives is often sown not by our most desperate prayers, but by our quietest acts of love. It is like planting a seed, not because you need a guaranteed harvest, but simply because you believe in life itself. Time passed, and Elisha was deeply moved by this selfless kindness. He knew the woman did not need material wealth, but he saw a hidden grief behind her calm smile, the silent pain of a barren wife. As she stood at the doorway of his room, Elisha spoke a fateful promise. "About this time next year, you shall embrace a son." Her heart trembled. She had buried that hope long ago, daring not to dream again, only to face disappointment. But the word of the Most High never fails. Seasons changed, rain came and went, and just as prophesied, a son was born in that quiet house. The cry of new life filled the home. The child's smile was a living testament that God had remembered her. The boy grew up healthy, intelligent, and full of vigor. He was the miracle they never thought possible, the pride and sunshine of their lives. The child was proof of God's faithfulness. Then, on a bright morning, while running out to the field where his father was working with the reapers, the boy's laughter suddenly ceased. He cried out, clutching his head, "My head, my head!" The pain struck suddenly and fiercely. The father, confused and frightened, quickly sent a servant to take the boy back to his mother. The mother held her son tenderly. She sat on the floor, cradling him, whispering words of comfort. She prayed silently for the pain to pass, but as time went on, the boy's breathing slowed, and by midday, the miracle she had once joyfully embraced now lay motionless in her arms. The world around her seemed to fall completely silent. This loss was not just the death of a child. It was the destruction of the promise. It was the betrayal of hope. This is the greatest test that faith must face, when God grants us the best thing, only to let it be taken away. The feeling of being robbed after being given is 100 times more terrible than the initial feeling of lack. However, something extraordinary happened. Though grief choked her heart, something deeper surged within, unwavering faith. The Shunammite woman refused to accept that the story was over. She did not prepare a funeral, call the neighbors to mourn, or reveal the pain to her husband. Instead, she made a choice that would echo through generations. She brought her sorrow to God. With steady hands, she picked up her son and carried him up to the very small room upstairs that she had built for the prophet Elisha. Each step trembled under the weight of her loss, but her faith burned stronger than ever. She laid her son upon the prophet's bed. The bed that was built for rest now became an altar of faith. She shut the door, went downstairs, and instructed her husband to prepare a donkey so she could go see the man of God. Her husband, surprised, asked, "Why are you going today? It is neither the Sabbath nor the new moon." She did not reveal her sorrow, but replied only with the words of unshakable conviction, "It will be well." This was not shallow optimism. This was a declaration of absolute faith. She refused to name the loss. Instead, she named the restoration. Like an anchor dropped to the deep seabed, even amidst stormy waters, she held her position firm. On the road, faith carried her faster than fear. She urged the servant leading the donkey not to slow down. When Elisha saw her from a distance, he sent his servant Gehazi to run out and ask, "Is all well with you? Is all well with your husband? Is all well with the child?" Despite her broken heart, she steadfastly replied, "All is well." Her words conveyed calm, but her soul was screaming in agony. She could not entrust her grief to anyone except the man of God. When she reached Elisha, she fell at his feet, clutching them through her tears. When Gehazi tried to pull her away, Elisha understood that this was a deep pain that the Lord had concealed from him. She uttered a distressed question. "Did I ask my Lord for a son? Did I not say, 'Do not deceive me'?" That interrogation was not a reproach, but a final cling to the promise. Elisha understood immediately, and he sent Gehazi ahead with his staff to place it upon the face of the boy. This was the crucial moment about the power of presence. Gehazi carried the staff, the symbol of power, but the mother refused to release Elisha's feet. She declared, "As surely as the Lord lives and as you yourself live, I will not leave you unless you go with me." She did not believe in the object or the ritual. She believed in the presence of Elisha himself. Her faith burned like fire, rejecting delegation and refusing half measures. She demanded that the author of the miracle must come. It was like a drowning person clinging not just to the rope, but to the person who threw the rope. Elisha recognized that dedication and ironclad trust. He stood up and went with her. When Gehazi returned with the sad news, the boy did not wake up. The mother's internal declaration remained unbroken. She looked straight at Elisha, her eyes saying, "I still believe." Finally, they returned to the house in Shunem. Elisha entered the quiet small room. He shut the door, leaving only himself, the boy, and the presence of God. He knelt beside the bed and prayed. Sorrow was visible on his face, but faith was stronger. Then Elisha did something extraordinary. He lay face down upon the child mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands, as if he were pleading with heaven to bridge the gap between life and death. It was the most intimate, sacrificial, and painful transmission of life. He stood up and walked around the room, praying and interceding. Then he returned and lay upon the child once more. This time, the boy's body trembled, and suddenly a sound broke the stillness. The child sneezed. Once, twice, and then 7 times in succession, until the silence was shattered by the noise of life. The child's eyes opened, and in a faint voice he called out, "Mother." Elisha breathed a sigh of relief. He called the mother into the room and simply said one sentence, "Take up your son." The Shunammite woman came in and fell at Elisha's feet, bowing down to the ground. Then she took her son into her arms. She held him tightly. Tears streamed down her cheeks. The sobbing quickly turned into laughter. She had refused to let go. She had clung to hope when all seemed lost, and God rewarded her faith with an unforgettable miracle. The story of the Shunammite woman is a profound and healing reminder for all of us who have ever lost our own miracle. We often go through cycles similar to hers: unconditional giving, receiving a promise, experiencing the greatest joy, and then falling into the deepest pit of brutal loss. We learn that the greatest pain is not in the craving, but in the moment of losing what was granted to us. But it is at that point of despair that her story rings out as a wake-up call. Never bury your loss where it occurred. Bring it to the place that once contained God's promise. The child's life died in the field, but he was placed on the prophet's bed. Loss might occur at work, in a broken family, or within our own soul, but restoration can only come when we bring it back to the altar where the presence of God is honored. The mother's steadfast faith teaches us that God never forgets the faithful. He can restore life to the dead things in your life: a relationship, a dream, a career, or even hope itself. The miracle did not come through the staff, but through the unshakable clinging to God Himself. Elisha's act of lying upon the child is a metaphor for complete restoration, an intimate sacrifice that required a part of the miracle worker himself. Today, if your life seems to have reached its end, if you are holding a seemingly irrecoverable loss in your arms, remember that your story is not finished. Death is only an ellipsis, not a period, in the epic that the Creator is writing. Do as the Shunammite woman did: refuse to let go. Hold fast to the declaration, "All is well," even when your heart is breaking. Cling to the presence of God until the miracle happens, until laughter triumphs over silence. God is faithful to His promises. He can and will write a new beginning in your life. Never give up. Believe that the miracle is on its way.